Hedera Hbar is on track to become the next top 10 project in this space, and I am going to be addressing why. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. If we take a quick look at Hbar right now, the overall market cap of it is sitting at about $2.7 billion. Fully diluted, it's sitting at about almost $3.8 billion. And if we go over here to the top 10, we could see that ADA is the 10th largest altcoin by market capitalization, sitting at about almost $15 billion. But if we go back to 2021, specifically around roughly the height of the bull run, we could see that altcoins roughly in the top 10 had well over 30 some billion dollars tied to them, with Dogecoin sitting at about almost 37 billion. Now, we do know that Dogecoin hit almost $94 billion during the cycle, but we are just going off of what it would take to be in the top 10 during last alt season's, top. Let's be honest, it's very easy to take positions in crypto, but it's extremely hard to actually have a game plan in place when the time comes to take profits. And that's exactly why I released a completely free exit plan that you can apply to literally every single position that you take in crypto. And the best part about it is that it's completely free. All you have to do to get access is go to the link down in the description below and claim your access now. What are you waiting for? Capture those profits. If we're talking about this time around, and if we're projecting the overall market cap of crypto to potentially 2x to just $6 trillion, well, the top 10 would most likely have a market capitalization sitting at about roughly 60 some billion dollars, and that's just on the low end. If we look at the top 10 right now and what their market cap is and what the price of Hbar would essentially be, we could see ADA, Hbar would be sitting at about 41 cents, Dogecoin almost 50 cents, Ton almost 55 cents, XRP almost 75 cents, Solana almost $2, BNB almost $2.50, Ethereum almost $11.25, and of course Bitcoin almost 33. Well, it's actually like $33.50. Now, if we're taking this into accountability, like I said, on the low end, we're looking at about roughly 60 some billion dollars to get into the top 10. If that is the case, then I do think that Solana's market cap on this list would be the closest thing to that, and that would be almost a $2 Hbar. Now, again, we don't know what the future holds. We don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but I do believe that Hbar is going to have a significant market capitalization on it, and I do think that Hbar will hit some pretty high levels. Now, I've broken this down in the past on where I do think that Hbar will go. We know back in 2020 and 2021, Hbar did do a 57x. It ran all the way up to about roughly 50 some cents. And we do know this time around, yes, there's a lot more tokens in circulation, and we know that the tokenomics did get a little bit diluted. So far, Hbar did do a 4x run over a 408% move to the upside, and off of the lows right now, it is up about almost 110%. Now, just to get to the all-time high of 2021, you're talking about roughly a 15x off of the lows. But what are some levels that we are really kind of looking at? Well, we're mainly looking at some fib extensions, specifically the 1618, the 2618, and then also the 4618. Going back to this breakdown, we could see that, again, Solana's market cap would take it to about roughly $1.93. So the safest area that I would say, if we are, projecting to hit the top 10, I would say that the 2618 would most likely be the most conservative area, which would be about $1.50 or a 39x off of the lows. And going off of the price right now, you're talking about roughly an 18x return. Not too bad at all. But again, first we need to target the all-time high, which we're talking about from the lows. Again, let's go off of those lows. You're talking about roughly a 14, almost a 15x. Then the 1618, almost a 24x. And again, during this entire time, we would obviously be taking some profits, making sure that we are securing those profits. Then the 2618, almost a 39x return. And then last but not least, the 4618, almost a 68x return. Now at $2.50, obviously the market capitalization would be pretty high. It would be over $87 billion. But in a market that is valued at almost $6 trillion, it could very well happen. We don't know if that's going to be the case. We don't even know if Hbar will go into the top 10. But the reason why I foresee it hitting the top 10 and roughly, outperforming most of the altcoins in this space is because of the stats behind it and what's been happening in the last 2 years alone since we were in the bear market. So let's start off with the network use and growth. So one, transactional wise, 20.41 billion transactions year to date. Max TPS 9,350, average TPS 1,280. The main thing that I'm looking at is the account growth, right? Created accounts 1.78 million, active accounts 1.4 million. And we know from HashPack, there's over 500,000 accounts on just HashPack alone, which is basically a wallet that you can utilize within Hedera. Again, just kind of showing you how significant the overall ecosystem adoption has been growing. Again, I always say focus on the users, focus on the applications on the network, because all of that is growth, use, value, volume, and that will lead to the price of the underlying asset that powers the network, in this case, Hbar, performing very well. Again, there's a lot of substance around Hedera, but also dev activity. Just recently, there was a report made by Sentiment, and we have here are crypto's top coins by development frequency. Hedera remains at the top spot, with Chainlink sliding into number 2. The below list is sorted by counting any non-redundant activity from a project and averaging this daily activity over the past 30 days. Arrows represent whether they have ascended or descended in their ranking positions since last month's update. And here we actually have Hbar, number 1, Chainlink, number 2, Optimism, number 3, Dfinity, or ICP, number 4. Number 5 is ADA, number 6 is SNT, number 7 is Cosmos, number 8 is ZK, number 9 is Starknet, and number 10 is Aptos. And if we're just talking about this alone, just imagine what Hbar would be if we were going off of this for valuations. I mean, Chainlink right now, if we're looking at Chainlink, has roughly almost $9 billion tied to it. And some of these other networks on here, well, you already know. I don't want to bring up Solana because, again, it's a very easy argument to say, hey, look at Hbar is better than Solana. But again, just going off of this alone, it just kind of shows you how significant the overall dev activity on Hedera really is, which means there's a lot of building happening. There's a lot of, applications that are being built behind the scenes that could very well launch, bring more users, bring more value, bring more volume to the network, which is a very good sign. And again, even comparing this to ADA, which is in the top 10, I just want to say it's a very easy thing to look at and say, hey, well, ADA is in the top 10. Hedera has a lot more dev activity. Could it be just as big? It's very easy to do that. But again, this is not like a big thing to focus on when it comes to, hey, is this going to be the next top 10? But it is a factor behind the scenes. Now, also, you might be saying, well, what about the price action? Because Hbar is pretty stagnant. It's been losing its, momentum since the BlackRock announcement. Well, just recently, Credible Crypto put out a great report regarding this, and I pretty much agreed with it because of the open interest versus the price action. We haven't posted much on Hbar lately as I've been waiting for more clarity. We are sitting at a higher time frame region of support, but looking for some sort of impulsive action to present itself. That being said, just checked Velo data today, and it's quite interesting. Nearly 500 million Hbar sold on spot exchanges since our last pump, and yet price is at the same spot as before. Someone is taking advantage of all the discontent around Hbar here and scooping up your precious bars at a discount. Now, you could also see here in terms of the overall price action versus the aggregated volume and spot volume, you can see how significant this is. Somebody is buying up the supply at a discount while you guys are selling. And when I say you guys, I just mean, Hbar holders that are selling. But regardless, as we really look at this, it's showing us that an impulsive move to the upside should happen very soon. We are waiting for that. Again, I have been anticipating Altseason starting very, very soon. We are still waiting on that. But I do think that Hbar is going to lead the way. And it's not just these two metrics, right? Or even just the overall account growth on the network, but it's also DeFi, right? We know DeFi on Hedera has been taking off. We are still focused on DeFi. There's so many great use cases building out on Hedera in the DeFi space. And I do believe that this is only going to continue with a lot of that dev activity, probably focused on DeFi initiatives. But also, we know that Bonzo, for example, which is a lending and borrowing platform for Hedera, this is DeFi 2.0, is coming very soon. This is actually in Q3 of this year. It's planned. This is going to be great for a lot of things in terms of TVL growth, DEX volume, stablecoin utilization, new transaction types, and this is from RoboPeep. And I do think that we will start to see DeFi waking up a lot from this, because again, going off of Bonzo Finance and what they're doing with lending and borrowing, I did break down in the past that this is going to be a big one, considering the fact that lending and borrowing is one of the biggest categories within the DeFi space. In fact, right now it's number 2 that has over almost $34 billion tied to it. And Bonzo is actually a part of DeFi 2.0, and we can actually see some metrics behind DeFi as well on Hedera. But this is actually a part of the DeFi 2.0 push for Hedera to really kind of expand, build, and grow into an even bigger DeFi giant in this space. I'm very excited to see a lot more DeFi projects going live on Hedera, because right now, although we do have some, it's not extremely large. The DeFi ecosystem does continue to, grow, but as you guys do see here, there's only 8 projects on Hedera that are promoting or even growing the DeFi realm on Hedera. And right now, TVL sitting at about roughly $103 million. I would love to see this really kind of start to grow rapidly. Obviously, we still need users. We need a lot more, volume coming in as well, which we will get during, the big rush in alt season. But for now, this will probably just kind of range sideways or just kind of trail a little bit to the, lower end of roughly around like 100 million, or possibly even come back down to these areas back here, which is like right around like 90 some million dollars or so. But regardless, I do think that DeFi on Hedera is going to be a game changer because of the efficiencies of the network. But beyond just TVL, you could see the core developers and the commits, which I did include in recent videos. If you guys do want to go check those out, it's very significant versus, some of the top networks in this space. Again, really kind of promoting the fact that Hedera does have a lot of builders. It has a lot of devs on it. They are, focused on building. They're focused on, revolutionizing specific areas around finance, even, content creation. Content creation is a big thing that's being revolutionized on Hedera through like Galaxy and other applications. But this is truly one of those big Web3 giants in the making that a lot of people are just ignoring. But also RWAs. Tokenization has been a big focus point. It's been a big narrative that everyone has been following. And Hedera has a ton of RWA use cases brewing on it. Over $8 billion in ecosystem market cap, $150 million in TVL, and $50 million in tokenized assets on Hedera. And a lot of those use cases are around real estate as well, which is a massive industry. But as we look at Hedera, combining all of this, everything that we know about Hedera, and guys, I'm just scratching the surface here. Like, there's a lot more around Hedera that I could have added into this video, but these are just some metrics, some of the stats, some of the things behind Hedera that are really just hinting at the fact that this is going to be a top project. I mean, when we go and look at the top 10, even if we go and look at the top 10 during 2021, although, yeah, a lot of these projects deserve to be in the top 10 technically, a lot of them also don't. And a lot of them don't really have as much substance that Hedera does have currently. Now, does that mean that it's going to teleport into the top 10? No, we still need a lot of, retail buying. We need something to be the catalyst behind Hedera. And that's what we're waiting for. And hopefully, who knows, maybe there's going to be a big announcement. Maybe there's going to be some news, or just maybe there's going to be a flow of retail money into Hedera to push it into these, top 10 levels. We don't know what's going to happen, but I do think that Hedera does have the potential to be a top 10 giant. I do think that it will be a top 10 giant. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because more free content. You guys more welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.